Listen carefully. Let me ask you something that most people never consider. What if everything you've been told about how rich people got rich is not just incomplete, but intentionally misleading? What if the story they repeat over and over isn't meant to educate you, but to protect them? Here's the uncomfortable truth most people refuse to say out loud. The advice rich people give about success would not make them rich if they followed it from zero today. That's not bitterness. That's not conspiracy. That's history, psychology, and power dynamics working exactly as they always have. We are told a comforting myth that wealth is the result of discipline, patience, hard work, and moral superiority. That anyone can do it if they just wake up earlier, save more, and add value. But that story collapses the moment you study how wealth actually forms at scale. Aristotle warned that societies survive on shared myths, but collapse when those myths are mistaken for reality. And this is one of the most profitable myths ever sold. Here's the central claim you're not supposed to question. The rich lie about how they got there, and the lie works because it keeps everyone else playing the wrong game. The lie works because it sounds virtuous. It flatters effort. It rewards obedience. And it quietly removes attention from leverage, timing, access, and power. In medieval Europe, the nobility claimed divine right. In modern capitalism, the wealthy claim merit. Same function, different language. Let's break this down. First, shocking truth. Hard work is not what creates wealth, it's what sustains systems that concentrate it. Think about this for a second. The hardest working people you know are not the richest. Construction workers, nurses, cleaners, single parents working 2 jobs, none of them lack effort. What they lack is leverage. Real wealth is created when effort is multiplied through systems, ownership, capital, distribution, and asymmetry. Consider Andrew Carnegie, often used as the poster child for self-made wealth. The story goes that he worked his way up from poverty. What's usually left out is that he built wealth by owning steel infrastructure, exploiting economies of scale, and crushing competitors through price wars he could survive and they couldn't. His wealth didn't come from working harder than others. It came from controlling bottlenecks. Psychologically, this lie comforts those at the top. It allows them to believe they deserve what they have. But it also paralyzes those at the bottom, who internalize failure as a personal flaw instead of a structural reality. Drop this in the comments. I stop confusing effort with leverage. Second shocking truth. The rich don't follow the rules they teach you do. You're told to avoid debt. They use it strategically. You're told to diversify early. They concentrate aggressively. You're told to play it safe. They take asymmetric risks with downside protection. Look at almost any billionaire's early story, and you'll find risk backed by insulation, family money, elite networks, institutional trust, or timing during economic expansion. When things failed, they didn't fall to zero. They fell onto cushions most people don't have. There's a reason advice like just invest in index funds is repeated so often. It's good advice for stability, but stability does not create dominance. Philosophically, this mirrors what Machiavelli observed centuries ago. The rules of power are different depending on whether you're trying to gain it or preserve it. The powerful teach preservation. They practice acquisition. This creates a psychological trap. People follow advice that keeps them safe instead of advice that makes them dangerous in the economic sense. And safety feels responsible until decades pass and nothing changes. Drop this in the comments. I question advice that keeps me small. Third shocking truth. Timing and positioning matter more than intelligence. People love to believe wealth is about being smarter. It's comforting. But intelligence without timing is just potential. Entire generations were wiped out or lifted up based on when they were born, not how smart they were. Buy a house in the 1970s? Genius. Buy the same house in 2022? Crippling debt. Invest in tech in the 1990s? Visionary? Start the same company in a saturated market today? Naive? The wealthy rarely emphasize timing because timing feels unfair and fairness threatens the moral narrative. But history is clear. From Roman land ownership to post-war American manufacturing to modern tech monopolies, fortunes are built at inflection points. Psychologically, humans hate randomness. We want clean cause and effect stories. So we replace luck with discipline and access with grind. But the truth is, wealth accelerates when preparation meets opportunity, and opportunity is not evenly distributed. Drop this in the comments. I respect timing and position myself for it. Fourth shocking truth. Most wealth is inherited not just in money, but in invisibles. Even when wealth isn't directly inherited, advantage is knowledge of how systems work, confidence in dealing with authority, social proof, the ability to fail without catastrophic consequences. Sociologist Pierre Bourdieu called this cultural capital. You see it when someone just knows how to talk to investors, negotiate contracts, or walk into powerful rooms without shrinking. That's not talent. That's exposure. The myth of the lone genius erases the scaffolding around success. And when that scaffolding is invisible, people blame themselves for not climbing fast enough without realizing they were never given a ladder. Drop this in the comments. I build capital beyond money. Fifth, shocking truth. The lie works because it protects identity. If rich people admitted how much luck, access, and leverage played a role, it would destabilize their self-image. So, the narrative becomes moral. I earned this because I'm disciplined, smart, and different. That story isn't just told to others, it's told inwardly. And here's the part that really matters. You don't need to hate the rich to see this clearly. You just need to stop copying their public advice and start studying their private behavior. What they say is optimized for interviews. What they do is optimized for outcomes. This is where transformation begins, not with resentment, but with clarity. If you've ever felt like you were doing everything right and still falling behind, it's not because you're broken. It's because you were following instructions designed for someone else's advantage. So here's the real question. Do you want to feel morally correct or strategically free? Because once you see the lie, you get to choose differently. You get to seek leverage instead of validation, position instead of praise, ownership instead of permission. This isn't about becoming ruthless. It's about becoming honest. If this resonated, make a choice right now. Like this video so this message reaches people who need it. Comment one truth that hit you hardest. Share it with someone who's been blaming themselves for a rigged game. And subscribe, because the next part goes even deeper into how to actually move differently once you see the pattern. Let's go deeper because seeing the lie is only half the transformation. The other half is understanding why it keeps working on smart, capable people and how to stop letting it shape your decisions. Here's the sixth shocking truth. The system rewards those who break norms quietly, not those who follow them loudly. Every major wealth leap in history came from violating a norm that everyone else treated as sacred. Merchants who bypassed guild rules, industrialists who vertically integrated when it was unethical, tech founders who ignored profitability to dominate attention first. Real wealth creation almost always looks irresponsible before it looks inevitable. But here's the trick. The rule breakers are later celebrated as visionaries, while the rule followers are praised for being responsible. Praise is cheap, power is not. Psychologically, humans are wired to seek social approval. It kept us alive in tribes. But that same instinct keeps people obedient in systems that no longer reward obedience. So, when the rich say, follow the rules, be patient, trust the process, what they're really saying is, don't disrupt what already works for me. Drop this in the comments. I value results over approval. Seventh shocking truth. Money follows perception before it follows value. This one is uncomfortable, especially if you believe the world is a meritocracy. We want to believe that value is recognized automatically, that good work speaks for itself. But in reality, perception creates leverage long before substance catches up. Look at modern markets. Companies with no profit raise billions. Influencers with no expertise sell out products. Startups with a story outperform businesses with better fundamentals. This isn't new. In ancient Rome, reputation determined credit. In Renaissance Italy, family name unlocked capital. Today, brand, narrative, and signaling do the same thing. The wealthy understand this intuitively. They invest in positioning early status, credibility, association because they know money chases confidence, not competence alone. Meanwhile, everyone else waits to be ready, not realizing readiness is often a consequence, not a prerequisite. Drop this in the comments. I shape perception instead of waiting for permission. Eighth shocking truth. Scarcity of courage matters more than scarcity of opportunity. People love to say opportunities are rare. They're not. They're unevenly distributed, yes, but more importantly, they're unevenly acted upon. Most people see the opening and talk themselves out of it. They wait for certainty. They wait for validation. They wait until the risk disappears, which means the upside does too. The wealthy aren't fearless. They're selectively bold. They move when the math favors them, even if the outcome is unclear. And because they've been taught to separate identity from outcome, failure doesn't destroy them, it informs them. Philosophically, this aligns with Stoic thought. You control action, not outcome. But modern culture flipped that. People judge action by outcome alone, which makes them passive. The rich quietly judge action by asymmetry, how much upside exists relative to downside. Drop this in the comments. I act before certainty arrives. Ninth shocking truth. Most people are trained to optimize comfort, not power. From school to work to social norms, you're taught to minimize discomfort, stable job, predictable income, clear path. None of this is evil, but it conditions you to fear volatility. Wealth, however, lives in volatility. New markets, new technologies, new behaviors. The people who benefit most are not the smartest, they're the most adaptable. Comfort feels safe in the short term and expensive in the long term. Power is built by tolerating temporary instability in exchange for permanent leverage. That's why so many people stay stuck, not because they lack ambition, but because they've been trained to see discomfort as danger instead of data. Drop this in the comments. I trade short-term comfort for long-term leverage. 10th shocking truth. Once wealth is built, the narrative changes, and that's the final trap. After people make it, they genuinely believe the story they tell. Memory rewrites itself. Struggle is romanticized. Luck is minimized. Risk is reframed as courage. This isn't always malicious, it's human nature. But when you consume advice, you must always ask, is this person explaining how they won, or how they want to be seen? Because advice given from the top is almost always backward-looking. It explains success, not how to recreate it. And copying it too literally is like trying to win yesterday's war with yesterday's weapons. The real move is not imitation, it's interpretation. Study patterns, not prescriptions. Understand incentives, not anecdotes. Drop this in the comments. I study behavior, not stories. Now, here's where everything comes together. The transformation being offered here isn't about getting rich quick. It's about getting honest fast. Honest about how systems work. Honest about what actually moves the needle. Honest about where you've been playing defense when offense was required. Once you drop the myth, something powerful happens. You stop moralizing money. You stop blaming yourself for outcomes that were never purely individual. And most importantly, you start asking better questions. Not, how do I work harder? But, where is leverage hiding? Not, what's the safe move? But, what's the asymmetric one? Not, what will people think? But, what will this compound into? So here's the choice-based question you need to sit with. Will you keep following advice that makes you feel virtuous? Or will you start making decisions that actually change your position? Because you don't need permission to think differently. You just need the courage to stop outsourcing your strategy to people who already won under different conditions. If this changed the way you see money, power, or yourself, even a little, make it count. Like this video, so the algorithm pushes truth instead of comfort. Comment the affirmation that hit you hardest so it locks into your identity. Share this with someone who's been grinding without leverage. And subscribe, because once you see the game clearly, you deserve to learn how to play it well. Final affirmation. Drop it in the comments and mean it. I stop copying the story and start designing my own path.